With the power of death on my hip and the symbolic police badge on my chest representing the oath to serve and protect life, I reported to work one night early in my career. It was Sunday evening, July 8th, 1990. Before leaving for work that night, I had that gut feeling officers sometimes have. That feeling is hard to explain. I knew something out of the ordinary was going to happen that night. After leaving North District roll call around 10 p.m., my partners and I, as our nightly routine dictated, went to 38th and North Keystone Avenue to enjoy conversation and our first cup of piping hot coffee at a local White Castle. After, we took a few standard radio runs, nothing exciting. Here in the big city, it was just another boring Sunday night. Despite my gut feeling, I wondered, what could possibly go wrong? Sometime after midnight, we decided to circle the wagons back at the White Castle for more convening. Before we finished that second cup of joe, however, our conversation came to a halt. Attention all cars, attention all cars. An armed robbery just occurred at the Taco Bell located at 6335 East 82nd Street, the dispatcher announced. The suspect was a black male armed with a revolver who fled the scene of the robbery in a new red Chevrolet Camaro. According to the Indianapolis News, the incident began at 2:50 a.m. William Scott McBride, night manager of the Taco Bell, was locking up the business. McBride said as he finished and walked to his car, he was approached by a man who was standing next to the Camaro. The suspect, brandishing a long-barreled revolver, ordered McBride back into the restaurant and told him to open the safe. McBride said the suspect took 2 bank money bags, plus McBride's wallet. Before fleeing in the car, the suspect was reportedly quoted as saying, "I've killed one man tonight already." A vehicle fitting the description was stopped by Marion County Sheriff's Deputy Sergeant Michael Smith at I-70 and Shadeland Avenue at about 3:06 a.m. After approaching the vehicle for the first time, Deputy Smith obtained the operator's driver's license and registration and called for backup. A few miles away, my academy classmate, Officer Teresa Hedge, was idling in a parking lot about to share a mid-shift pizza with Officer Mike Knapp when they heard the broadcast. Hedge recounted to me all these years later.
We heard that the officer had the car stopped at I-70 in Shadeland. We were just getting ready to crack that pizza, but we said, well, let's go.
Hedge and Knapp pulled onto the highway just as the license check was coming back. It was in the name of Leonard R. Barnett, black male, 25 years old, and the sole occupant of the vehicle. Hedge remembers that as she and Knapp pulled in behind the traffic stop, she saw Smith outside of his car approaching the suspect's vehicle from the passenger side. Hedge exited her vehicle and approached the driver's side of the Camaro. As she recalls,
My first thought was, this is the armed robber. This guy's good looking.
She ordered Barnett to place both hands outside of the driver's door window, to which he initially complied. But then, Barnett quickly looked over to the passenger side where Smith was standing. He then pulled his hands back inside the window and began reaching between the driver's seat and the console. Hedge said from her point of view, she saw the suspect bring his hands together, but that was all she saw before she heard Smith yell, "Gun!" Smith saw the gun, yelled the warning, then stepped back and fired at Barnett. Hedge fired as well. As Barnett put the vehicle in gear and fled at a high rate of speed, all 3 officers jumped back into their vehicles in pursuit. The Indianapolis News reported that during the nearly hour-long chase, police officers and sheriff's deputies exchanged several shots with Barnett on the city's east side. The suspect was shot and killed after his car crashed at 10th Street and College Avenue. That's an oversimplified version of how it unfolded. Here's Hedge's eyewitness account.
Smith hollers, "Gun!" He jumps back and we both fire at the vehicle. Barnett's backup lights come on and the car takes off, and I'm thinking, oh shit. We all take off. Smith made it ahead of me right off the bat. Mike flies around me. I realized I was in low, not drive, so I pop it into drive, then take off. I was the last one in line at that point. We got off on Emerson. By the time I got to the top of the ramp and get to 25th Street, the dust starts turning up. They had actually gotten into a parking lot, and everyone is spinning around in circles. The Camaro pulls out of it and continues southbound. He gets a little ahead of me and immediately turns right into a newspaper drop-off point. By the time I turn into the parking lot, he's headed at me full speed. I stop, jump out between my door and car frame. I fire one shot at his windshield. He starts to go around me on the right. I start pulling on my trigger, then saw the police lights coming, so I pulled my shot downward. The Camaro turns back northbound. It was kind of like Keystone Cops. Everyone is now headed back northbound to Emerson. I'm the last one up there. The radio traffic is, which way did he go? Which way did he go? I turn south. Everyone turns off sirens and lights. I see a little old man sitting in a pickup truck. Asked him if he saw a red Camaro, and he pointed southbound. I don't see any taillights. I come up to the 21st Street Shell Station, asked the guys standing out there, where did the Camaro go? They said west. I put it out on the radio, but I still didn't see any taillights. I shut it down by that point. There was no telling how many police cars were involved. Then I hear Sergeant John Morris saying, he's coming at me, he's coming at me. Barnett is charging him, so he backs up out of the way. Barnett heads west on 16th Street. Moore lost him. Then Officer Ron Gray was kicking him up by Linwood Square, then lost him. I thought the suspect was down at Linwood and Washington. I turned off on New York Street. I pull up on Linwood and see nothing. Checked in with control. Decided to go north on Linwood. I pull over in the 900 block, smoke a cigarette, get a drink of Mountain Dew, and decide to reload. All of a sudden, there he goes westbound on 10th Street, so I jumped out behind him, and the chase was on again. There was no vehicular traffic out except for us. I got my mic in my left hand, my right hand on the steering wheel, and we're approaching downtown. He ends up hitting the curb in front of me as we went under the interstate. He was fishtailing so bad, and I was at such a high rate of speed. I hit the brakes, and then I hit on the left-hand side curb, blew a tire, and went over the median. Next thing I know, I saw the bus coming at me. I put my hand in front of my face with an oh shit. My car is steaming. I tried to open my driver's side door. Wouldn't open. I climbed out through the window. I landed on my hands and knees. Then it was nothing until I came to about 5:30 a.m. at the hospital.
The fishtailing. That's where Hedges' story with Barnett ended and mine began. I was hearing this on the radio traffic. It sounded absolutely crazy. I positioned myself at East 10th Street and North College Avenue to block one-way northbound traffic and stop motorists from traveling northbound across Barnett's path. I saw the Camaro flying westbound underneath the interstate approaching College Avenue. He was still running dark, traveling without headlights or taillights in order to elude pursuing officers. Not too far behind the Camaro, I also saw Hedge, the only pursuing vehicle, with overhead red lights rotating. I did not, however, see her crash into a parked school bus. I faintly heard the police siren as my adrenaline flow peaked and my heart pounded. I saw the Camaro fishtail as Barnett lost control east of College. At that intersection, a light pole stood along with a couple of street signs. Barnett hit the curb and ran over the light pole, flattening it just before the car became airborne. I watched in awe as the car cleared all 5 lanes of College and flew through the air. I never saw the vehicle's wheels touch the ground after liftoff. I watched it collide head-on into the elevated cement porch of the house on the northwest corner of 10th and College. The vehicle folded like an accordion from the force of the impact. It was the most violent crash I had ever witnessed. 10th and College, he stacked it up bad, I screamed into my radio. Start a mayday control, I said. During the lengthy on-again, off-again pursuit that reportedly reached speeds in excess of 80 miles per hour, Barnett was able to skillfully elude other officers and dodge vehicles in his path for miles. Yet somehow, he lost control there, crashing right in front of me as I sat in my police vehicle blocking traffic. As the Camaro cannoned into the porch, coming to an instant halt, I jumped out of my vehicle and drew my weapon for protection. I wasn't taking any chances, even though I assumed, from the severity of the crash, that Barnett was either dead on impact or needed extensive medical treatment. I ran towards the scene to check on his welfare. My mind was racing, but my primary thoughts were detain immediately and provide medical assistance. As I ran towards the scene, I saw Barnett standing outside of the vehicle, but I never saw him get out of the car. I couldn't imagine how he managed that considering the severity of the crash. Did he open the door? Did he crawl through the window? It seemed as if he just appeared somehow there in front of me. I aimed my pistol directly at his chest. As I looked through the sights, I ordered him. No, I screamed at the top of my lungs. Get on the fucking ground! He didn't hear me, wasn't listening, or was just outright disobeying my order. Staring intensely, he seemed to look not at me, but right through me with an absent gaze, and he started to run at me. In my later testimony to a grand jury, I described his seemingly rapid movements like a track star coming out of the blocks. That statement would come back to haunt me in future court proceedings. As he approached me, I responded as I was trained to do in a violent, up-close, and personal attack. I pulled my pistol backward toward my right hip to prevent him from seizing it. As I did this, I simultaneously hit him as hard as I possibly could with the palm of my left hand. I used enough force that he stumbled backward into the back rear quarter panel of the Camaro. To my astonishment, he charged at me again. Aiming at his chest, I screamed, "Get on the fucking ground!" Again, he did not obey my command. He paused for a moment, looked back at the vehicle, then back at me. It occurred to me that he was sizing up his options. Incredulous, I tried to manage the chaos in my head so I could grasp for some sort of logic within what was unfolding in front of me. I yelled, "No, don't go back to the car." My thoughts were racing. Where's my fucking backup? Why isn't he listening to me? I screamed again for a third time, "Get on the fucking ground!" He then ran toward the Camaro and dove headfirst into the driver's side window. I could only see his back and lower half at that point. I could no longer see his hands. I saw him throwing things around as if he were searching for something. I thought I saw cash flying as he rummaged through the front seats. Searching for something. Suddenly, he just stopped. It looked like his arms came together, as if he'd grabbed something. My immediate thought was that he had located the gun he was armed with during the robbery. He glanced back until he made direct eye contact with me. He began pulling himself back out of the window. At that moment, I thought it was him or me. I fired. In that split second, my life changed forever.